All right, everyone. I really hope you got a chance to see the Hegseth testimony before the Senate panel the other day, because it was a thing of magic and wonder. Pete Hegseth absolutely destroyed the Senate Democrats. They tried to come at him from literally every possible angle, and they failed miserably. They totally failed. There was one point at which Tim Kaine, he was the running mate for Hillary Clinton in 2016. He came at him and was talking about his marital infidelity. Of course, he's on wife number 3 and had cheated on his wife. And his daughter, his 7-year-old daughter, was literally in the chamber, and several networks definitely showed that, by the way. And he's like, you had a child out of wedlock. And he's like, yeah, she's a child of God, basically. And Tim Kaine looked a little bit flummoxed after that. And that one goofy from, I think, Hawaii it is, she tried to come at him. She got humiliated. This is exactly the sort of person that you want to lead the Pentagon, by the way. I realize the Republicans generally just softballed him. They're piling on board. It's probable that he's going to get through. I think that the testimony was good enough that it probably puts him easily over the top and he gets confirmed. But he's exactly the sort of person you need to run an outlet like the Pentagon. Somebody who is quick on their feet, rhetorically and intelligently speaking. Somebody that is capable of understanding things at a significant level. You need somebody intelligent. You need somebody that's quick to be able to respond to things. Imagine you get the 4 a.m. phone call. You don't want that person to be a dumbass. Hegseth is clearly not a dumbass. He ran rings around them. From top to bottom, during the entire testimony, he at some point, he started making the smug face. I think that he knew that he was destroying them. He rolled them and smoked them like a joint. It's exactly the opposite of what you would get from, like, Joe Biden or somebody like that. Someone who's mentally sluggish and doesn't really know what they're doing and can't turn a phrase and makes gaffes all the time. Not once during the testimony did he slip up or make a mistake or stammer or do anything like that. It was a thing of beauty. Rhetorically speaking, he is exceptionally gifted, and so they should confirm him. It's quite clear now. While I don't agree with everything that he says, it's just like Tulsi Gabbard on FISA, sort of waffling back and forth. Sometimes you disagree with people, but you still would vote to confirm them. If I was in the Senate, he'd have my vote after that testimony, certainly. And the Democrats aren't, I think, going to be able to stop him. The Republicans have the Senate now. That's number one. So, even if you lose a couple of Republicans, you'd still be voting to confirm, because the confirmation filibuster is no longer a thing, thanks to the Democratic Party, oddly enough. And I warned them at the time, it's going to come back to bite them. Well, it's going to be real easy to get Tulsi Gabbard in as DNI and Lee Zeldin in for EPA now, isn't it? The Democrats are livid. They're furious right now. Honestly, I think that the constituents of these Democrats, because of their poor ability to, hog-tie Hegseth, who was seen originally as one of the weaker picks for Donald Trump because of the allegations of misconduct against him. The fact that they weren't able to nail him to the wall, and in fact he literally ran rings around them, is not a good look for the Senate Democrats now, is it? No, not even close. He destroyed them. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's sort of like, let's not mince words. Trump destroyed Kamala Harris. Hegseth just destroyed the Senate Democrats. It's funny because a couple of left-wing outlets are using the term humiliated to indicate that he was humiliated by the Senate Democrats. Like, if you look at some of the write-ups and shit like that, it's like, oh, well, they roasted him. You were watching a different hearing. What are you talking about? Not even close. You do not need to be a political partisan. Hell, if I was a Democrat right now, I'd be pounding my fists on the table in rage at how poorly the Senate Democrats actually did in their effort to try to stop him. I expect him to be confirmed. If before it was like a 50-50 shot, I think now there's a 90% chance that he gets through. I think that his testimony was superb, actually. I was honestly surprised because I expected that usually during, a confirmation hearing like this or something, at some point you crack and you get all emotional or something like that, or you make a mistake, a verbal error or something like that. That never happened. I watched the whole hearing, actually, and he did a perfect A+ job. So I don't think they're going to be able to prevent him from being actually in that position. That must terrify the Democrats, by the way. Having Trump's first and foremost pick for that particular position, which can investigate people, which has to do with the military, which has to do with policing and intel, it must bother them that Hegseth is probably going to be leading the charge. Because they know that they've spent the last 4 years persecuting Donald, well, more than 4 years, it's more like 8 years, persecuting Donald Trump, persecuting his associates, persecuting his lawyer, persecuting his friends, persecuting his backers, censoring people and stuff like that. It must bother them that for at least 4 years, that ain't going to be a thing. Because Hegseth seems to be the kind of person who's going to stand behind his man, namely Donald Trump. It's going to be an interesting time. That's about all. Peace out.